Join Marjorie Hope, founder of America Connected, as she delves into the transformative power of cultural diplomacy and bridging cultures. Marjorie emphasized the importance of respect, understanding, and cooperation in our rapidly changing world. Through captivating stories from her global experience, she reveals how simple gestures like a smile can break up barriers and foster meaningful connections. Marjorie also discusses the book Connected Diplomacy, offering insights into how building bridges between cultures can pave the way for global peace. Tune in to be inspired by Marjorie's journey and how you can make a difference in connecting with others. Don't miss out on this inspiring episode. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your family and friends. And follow us on social media for updates and join the conversation during Bridging Cultures. Let's work together to create a more connected and peaceful world.
Hey, you awesome folks! Thanks for taking this journey of discovery with your guide, Keith Haney. You're listening to the Becoming Bridge Builders podcast, your favorite podcast for everything from racial reconciliation to education innovation, justice reform, and leading change in the 21st century. This podcast is for people who love to be challenged with difficult topics, but want practical solutions to solve these challenging issues. Becoming Bridge Builders makes change possible. Each week on the podcast, Keith invites innovative thought leaders to share how they are building bridges in their area of expertise. You will hear breakthrough ideas and concepts that are changing the world. He's featuring guests who are best-selling authors, leaders at Microsoft, entrepreneurs, leading educators, professors, lawyers, and so many more. Listen in to learn how you can be the bridge to the change you are seeking.
My guest today is Marjorie Hope, president of America Connected. She has earned degrees from Salisbury University, London School of Economics, and Harvard University, with experience in business international relations and political economy. Welcome, Marjorie, to this podcast. Well, Marjorie, welcome to the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Keith, for having me.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this conversation. I love people who like to make an impact in the world, so I'm looking forward to having our discussion. So I'd like to ask my guest this question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Always believe in yourself, never give up, and always thank God.
Oh, I like those three. Those are all good. Who told you that?
You know, I actually have learned that through all of my ventures throughout the years. And I think it just holds true in anything and for anyone in life.
Well, that's good. I love that because it's so true. I mean, all those things are really important. If you try to put your life in proper perspective, those things kind of are your guiding force in life.
Well, you know, Keith, I have a mantra that I do every morning, and it helps with everything that you're going to do for the day. And I also believe that has a lot to do with it because when we wake up, we have so much anxiety.
Sure.
And what I do is I make hot tea. And if you breathe in the hot tea and let the steam, do like 3 deep breaths. And then this is what I say. Thank you, God, for the flowers, trees, birds, and bees. Thank you, God, for the clouds that I see. Thank you, God, for the ability to be me. And thank you, God, for the opportunity to be the best I can be. And what that does is it actually calms down those little anxiety things you get inside. And it makes you focus on what the day is about, because it's not about you, it's about the world. And it allows you to focus on what you need to do.
Oh, I love that. You know, I looked at your bio and I was so impressed by the places you've studied and the things you started to do. But I always, when I have people on like yourself, I like to ask the question of who were some role models or mentors along your path for you? What made them special in your life? And just kind of tell us a little bit about, who they were.
Okay. George Washington, Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, and Nelson Mandela, because they all share a profound commitment to justice, perseverance, and transformative leadership. And that's what I believe has made our world. They each had an impact in our world, but at different stages in our world, which was so interesting.
I love that. And those are all really great people. I think about, I just saw the Winston Churchill movie, and it's like the that little moment of what he was in the middle of in terms of time and space, and how no one quite understood the moment like he did, and the impact of understanding the times and knowing by the power of God guiding you exactly what you need to do to be present and transform those times.
I think also that they taught a lot about moving forward, bringing people together, and what they did is help our world. And again, actually, I use them in my book at the end of each chapter to talk about what they would have done. And it's really interesting. Like they're talking around the table, and they each lived in different parts of the world. Like for example, diplomacy. So George Washington goes, I don't understand this diplomacy, because think about it. He came from Europe to have a better life, to get away from what like Winston Churchill was trying to connect. So they talk about that because it depends on, like Abraham Lincoln, he was trying to unite a country that was dividing itself. Gee, doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does. I love that. So, as we get to how you got where you are now, I love to know the journey that your life took to get you where you are today, because it gives us insights about what decisions you make and what becomes important to you and the core of who you are.
Well, I mean, look, life is a process. And with each step, I know I aim to honor the lessons from the past while building a better future, um, for myself, my family, and the world. And I really believe that.
I love that. So, what sets you apart, the work you do now, from other people who kind of do the same kind of work?
Well, I think it's a combination of practical experience, a holistic, inclusive approach to global issues. And I guess that distinguishes me a little bit from others because I realize that together we get more. Alone, we are alone. And I think a lot of people work out of fear, Keith. They don't, fear is just false evidence appearing real.
Right.
And if you live by that, you close yourself off. And that is what is so dangerous right now in our world, where we have a lot of people, because it is scary. We have a lot of changes going on right now. And everyone has picked sides, and they're divided. And of course, social media, it brings us up into a lot of accelerated problems. But yeah, I would say that it's the dedication to make a meaningful impact in your life.
You mentioned that you wrote a book. What's the title of your book?
Connect diplomacy.
Cool.
It's now a word. I made it up.
All right. So
But
tell us about it.
but I connected connecting and diplomacy because in our world we need to connect. And I talked about the division that we're experiencing, and that's what led me to the book, because we need to connect with each other. I've done a lot of travel around the world, and I have found in every situation, people want to connect. In my book, I had over 100 countries write in through friends of friends and people around the world why they think we need to connect with each other. And I kid you not, every single one had the exact same answer in broken English in different ways, but they all said, in order to have peace in our world. And I had one girl from Iran that wrote in and said, you must sign this email that you will never put my name out or I could be killed.
Mm.
So I said, of course. And in the book, I put name withheld per request. But she also wrote, we need peace because we need to connect with each other. And interestingly, I've always said this, people are people. And we all eat, we all sleep, we all breathe, we all have to go to the bathroom because we're all people. And after that, we do have differences, and that is okay. but we have to learn to respect each other.
What do you think is the biggest thing holding us back from that connection?
Um, Honestly, it's fear, because we really are experiencing a fast paced world of change that is great. I mean, I think it's amazing, because think about this. We can be all over the world in an hour. We can order something from China on Amazon, and everything you're wearing, by the way, comes from a different country, including your phone, including the chips in your phone. And people that say, "Oh, well, we're gonna, charge tariffs for all these countries," come on now. We're all doing the same thing. We're all, again, getting more from each other than we would from just by ourselves. But honestly, it's promoting the understanding and trust and cooperation. Um, and I think people are afraid of that. They want their old world back because that's what they knew. But the old world wasn't terrible, but look at how much more we're going to get now. Look how more inclusive it can be. Look how much excitement and just amazing things it can teach us. We only have one planet. That's it. We have to take care of it and live together, because there is nowhere else to go. And the internet made it smaller in the fact that you can be all over the world. And I have one funny story to tell you. Years ago, when someone would travel somewhere, what was the big deal? They'd bring you back a T-shirt.
Right.
Here's a T-shirt from, Italy. Well, if you want it, you could go on the internet right now and order 20 shirts from 20 different countries. Look, I've been to Italy, Switzerland, you know. The point being that we become so much closer together. And I think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. You founded a company called America Connected. Tell us about the mission and vision of that foundation, that company, I should say.
Yeah, so it's about cultural diplomacy, which is all about promoting the idea that despite our differences, we share common humanity and address global challenges. And America Connected basically is bringing nations and people of the world closer together. And we do that through events, we do it through traveling to different countries and teaching yoga, which is the oldest and first form of movement. Um, and an interesting story, I guess it was 2019, and we were going to India, and the woman that was in charge of the avenue we were going to for the yoga, her studio was in Kerala, and she was very, very nice. But she said, "Well, I'm just not so sure. Please don't talk about politics." Oh, of course not, we said. So we got there, and I realized she wasn't really familiar with Americans as much as what she saw on television. So after 1 hour of being in her studio with everybody, with the big group, she came over and she loved us. And she's like, "Drop everything you're doing. I'm going to show you India." And we became fast friends, and we're still friends. But what was so fascinating, which I never would have learned on my own, is we hiked, and it was a long hike, and it was a very hot hike. And by the way, I'm getting a little off tangent, but in India, cows are sacred.
Yeah,
So
I heard
as we're
that.
walking this very long walk, because she said there's a really great surprise she's going to show us, a cow jumped out at me. It was really funny, but it was not scary, but it went on its way. But what she showed us is, it's called Sharmdalaya, which is four corners. For over 1,000 years, there was a church, a synagogue, a mosque, and a Hindu temple. And of course, those are very different ideologies. And do you know what? They lived together and practiced together over 1,000 years with never a problem, because the number one thing they had is respect, and respect for each other. And that's what was so unique. And I use that example as how we need to connect with each other. We don't have to believe the same thing. We don't even have to like each other, but we need to respect each other.
I love that. You have a term on your website, because I went and spent no time looking into it a little bit, called cultural diplomacy. What is that? And why do you think we need more of that to better break down the barriers that we have going on in our lives?
Well, cultural diplomacy is sharing cultural heritage, values, traditions, and we do this through various forms. If you think about it, from art, music, dance, literature, and in other activities that brings us together. So when you're watching, for example, I believe there's a Chinese group and a Japanese group that come around once a year in January to different places around the country that teach their and show their dance exhibitions, and that's showing their heritage. That's diplomacy. Or if you visit an art museum from art from all over the world, and these are amazing things. These are great things. It opens your eyes to what's going on in the world. And it's something that 150 years ago, we didn't have that opportunity. Then we were more closed off because we had this ocean between us. Not that the ocean's not there anymore, but we don't need the ocean anymore. We're already connected with the internet.
As you think about all the places you visited, which country was maybe the hardest for you to connect with that culture, and which one would surprise you maybe as you were traveling, and that was like, oh, this was something I really never knew before?
Well, that's a question I get asked a lot. And I have to tell you, every country I've gone to is better than the next. People are people. I have had amazing experiences. Just a couple real quick. I was on a train in Dubai, and we had gotten lost, and a young girl, maybe in her young 20s, walked in, and she just held the same pole I was, which I thought was pretty cool because she wasn't afraid of me. Obviously we were dressed very differently. And so I asked her, can I ask about your culture? I want to learn about it. And she was open and amazing, answers. Then her stop came, and I noticed from the corner of my eye a sheik staring at me. So I was like, uh-oh. So I said, I hope I didn't do anything to offend you. And he laughed. And he said, no, we just care about money. And I laughed. And I thought that was a great answer. So I said to him, but why does it seem when I was in the town that people didn't really like me? Now, he gave me a really interesting answer. He said those were probably older people that haven't had as much exposure to the internet, and they really aren't as experienced with your culture. I thought about it, and it made a lot of sense. So then I asked him, can I get my picture with you? And I thought he might say no, but he said, okay. And now here's the ultimate. In the picture, Keith, he gave me a thumbs up.
Oh, wow.
And I will never forget that, because as different as he and I were night and day, a woman, a man, different cultures. And yet he recognized the one commonality is that we were both people, and we had the respect. And that, now another example, I was in Italy, and I was at a little pizza place, and I said, I believe in English that I wanted, to have some pizza. They pretended they didn't understand me. So I thought, well, gosh, I don't really know Italian, but I know Spanish. So I asked for it in Spanish, and they said, oh, sí, senora. But I found the connector. That was my point. I didn't let it bother me. And they were polite and nice. And obviously their experience might not have been as good as with Americans before, but now they had a great experience. And I look at that as we can together in our world, although there's so many negative things that have happened and are happening, we can change it one step at a time. And the best way to change things is the number one universal communicator, a smile.
I love that. If for my audience who may be thinking we do need to find ways to break down the tension in our country, in our world, what are some pieces of advice you would have when you're running across someone with a different culture? What are some do's and what are some don'ts?
Yeah, that's a great question. So an example is Japan. Japan has a lot of very very important rituals, like bowing and saying thank you, arigato, konnichiwa, um, and I believe it's very important when you do travel to learn some of the basics, especially where is the bathroom. That's a good one. But if you learn in their language a few simple things like hello, thank you, and like in Japan, you're going to do a little bow. They are so appreciative. I've never ever had a negative experience because I've shown respect. This is your country. I'm visiting, and I want to learn, and I am happy to be here. And with that, everyone is happy to see you and will treat you very positively. It's only when you act like you have to do it my way because I'm not like you. Well, that's not showing respect. And so we have to be careful of that. Another example would be, I'll give you an example. In Rome, I was walking down the street and I got lost. I always am getting lost. I get lost because I'm enjoying what I'm doing so much in other countries, and I just start walking and I lose my group. So here I was lost again, and I'm like, okay, well, they're gonna find me. I'm gonna find them. But I see this woman walking down the street. She looks kind of important. I didn't know who she was, but I went up to her and I said, "Hi, I'm from America." And she said, "Hi, I'm the Secretary of Education in Italy." And I met this amazing woman that way. But, and also in Japan, another example, I was touring the government center with a friend, and we decided to get something to eat, as if you would do in America after touring, for example, the Capitol. And they have a cafeteria. So I figured they did here too. And they did. And as we entered, I see on the other side of the room a big group of people around a man, all centered around him. And I asked, I guess you would say the maitre d', who is that? What's going on? He said, "Oh, that's the prime minister." "Oh," I said, "can I go say hi?" He goes, "Well, you can go over there if you want." And the people was with were like, "Margie, you can't do that." I'm like, "I can try." So I walked over and I smiled. I said, "Hi, I'm from America. I'm having the best time in your country, and I'm so happy to be here." He understood English. I kind of figured he would. And he said, "Thank you for being here. I'm so happy you're having a good time." He was nice, he was pleasant. What a great experience. And I think that's what it's all about, not having that fear, not being afraid. I mean, what was the worst he was going to do? "I'm sorry, I'm busy, I'm in a meeting." But he took, I guess it was 30 seconds our exchange. And I felt so important. And he was happy that here his country was showing other people how wonderful his country was. So those are my, just a few examples of how amazing the world really is.
I love that because I think as we go around the world, we tend to be more aware when we're in a different country that there are different customs and people and things we have to be aware of. How do we take that and translate that back here? Because we still run into the same kind of thing with our own division that we don't take the time to do what you do. Like if you're in Italy or you're in Rome or you're in India, to say, yeah, this is a different culture. How do I make sure I am aware of that and fit in? So how do we bring that back to our own neighborhoods and have that same kind of
Well,
sense of awe?
right. The skills are the same. I mean, it's basically you're going to meet people every day that are different. And I always use this example in the political world. We have some big differences right now. But I truly believe if you were walking down the street and you're from, let's say, one belief and they're from another belief, the person behind you, let's say, and you fall, okay, you fall and you hurt yourself. I absolutely believe that person would help you. Now, of course, they have no idea what your belief is. You have no idea. But why is that? Because we're people, we're humans. Now, after that, yes, we all have differences. Our differences start with the color of our hair, the color of our skin, the color of what we wear. But you have to take a step back and say, that's okay, and have respect for each other because we're all human beings. And every one of us has one thing in common other than being human. We all live on this planet, and there is nowhere else to go. So if we don't, again, respect each other, where are we going to go? So, I just think that taking that communicator, the smile, to people, um, it it doesn't always work. I had a situation where I changed and varied my views politically, and a lot of people that I had been working with weren't very fond of that at all. And I tried not to take that personally because I realized they couldn't understand where I was coming from. That I see we cannot divide people, that it doesn't work. We need to include people. And I think the more you try to divide people, the more anger there is in the world. And then that just doesn't work. It's been tried before throughout our history, and it's never worked. So we just have to try to put our differences aside. I'm not saying put them away because you're not going to change overnight, but at least find what you do have in common and work on those items, like food or dwellings. Those are things that we all need. So these are just some ideas.
I love that. And I love your spirit. I love your attitude about the world. I'm curious for you as you think about like where you are right now in this season of your life. What are you excited about?
That we can all make a difference. And I think we have to remember faith over fear. And that's a biggie. Fear is something every day we live with. I mean, that's also anxiety. And, am I going to make the bus on time? Am I going to be able to do something at work correctly? Will I be late? What will happen if? What if this doesn't happen? Can I pay my bills? What if I can't pay my bills? That's anxiety that builds and builds till it becomes fear. And you have to have faith, because faith will simmer that down and say, you're going to be okay. Take a deep breath and let's just try to work this out little by little, because you can't work everything out at once, but you can take a deep breath and remember faith over fear, and remember that we're all here for a reason. We can all make a difference, and you have to find your passion, and your passion is going to be different from other people, and that's okay too. And use it in a good way, because helping each other is the most important thing we can do.
Great answer. I love that. I love to ask my guests this question. I think I know where it's going to go, but I'm going to ask you anyway. As you think about your life, what do you want your legacy to be?
That we can work together, that step by step we can create a world that we can be proud of, and connecting with each other. That would be my one big thing in the world that I would want to be remembered by.
That's amazing. As we kind of summarize what we've talked about today, and it's been your spirit is just so neat, and I really appreciate it. What are some key takeaways you want the audience to gather and gain from our conversation today?
The big thing is, don't let fear overtake you. When you're working with social media, you have to remember social media can be a great connector. It can show you pictures from friends that you haven't seen in a while, family connectors, but it can be a big disconnector. What happens is you wind up joining a group. They think just like me. They're just like me. They've welcomed me. I'm now a part of a group, and it makes you feel good. But when you see a red flag, and psychologically this happens where you go, wait, I don't think that's right what they're saying, but after all, they like me. It must be me, not them. And tests have shown that you really won't leave because you think that you're a part of that group. How could you have made that mistake? Because you feel bad. Like, why did I join this group? So you don't want to leave. But listen, you have to be able to be strong enough and confident enough to say, if you know something's wrong and you do know the difference, then you have to get out. And you don't have to be rude about it. You just say, I don't quite see things that way. And thank you so much for the time we had together. But you've got to be able to be strong enough to not stay in the group where violence can happen and division can happen. We want to work the opposite way, towards working together. And that's more important.
I found your website, and you have some amazing videos and content on there. So where can people find you and your website and find out more about you?
The best website is It's Marjorie Hope it's marjoriehope.com, which is full of videos and the couple different books I've written and different ideas. And I'd love for everybody to visit it. It's a lot of fun.
Give us the name of your book again and where they can find your books as well.
Connect Diplomacy, and it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And my other book, my new book, is Carrie's Gold, which is a gymnastics book in time for the Olympics, but it's also a connector, and it's about a little girl wanting to connect with other people in the world through the sport of gymnastics and getting a gold medal. So that's what Olympics is all about, joining us together.
Oh, I bet that's an exciting book to read. I'm looking forward to looking that one up.
Thank you so much for having me, Keith. This has been amazing.
Well, thank you for what you do. And again, the spirit that you approach this with, there's just so much negativity in the world. And for you to have the kind of bubbly, energetic, smiley spirit that you have is just so refreshing. So thank you for what you do. Keep pressing on, keep giving those smiles to the world, because we need that. We need that kind of a joyful spirit to kind of help us to see that we're not in a hopeless situation, but we are a very hopeful situation, because, you know, God created all of us to be unique and special. And thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Do you know that most entrepreneurs hit a revenue ceiling and have no idea why? They're working harder, spending more money, running more ads, but revenue stays flat. My friend Dr. Noah St. John calls this the invisible break. He's giving our listeners a free revenue ceiling audit to help you see what's really holding you back. You'll get a free 30-day membership to NoahBot, giving you access to Dr. Noah's 30 years of experience to help you reach your next level. But hurry, because there's only 50 available this month. So if you're tired of being stuck at the same revenue level and want to finally break through, get your free revenue ceiling audit at drnoahvault.com in the affiliate link that'll be listed in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to Becoming Bridge Builder. If you enjoyed this episode and want to help support the podcast, please subscribe and share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at bkeithhaney and on Getter and Twitter at RevHeadpin. Thanks again, and tune in next time.